Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Atlanta. Good morning, Southeast. Good morning, West Coast. Good morning. Those of you who join us here live in the live Zoom studio of the Daily Huddle, my name is Giovanni Gonzalez, and I am super excited to be with you guys this morning. Thank you for plugging in. And those of you who join us on Facebook, thank you for plugging in and joining us. This morning, we have a phenomenal conversation, truly excited about it. And we are fond of saying here that the way you start your day gives you the rest of your day, and the way that you live each day gives you the rest of your life. It's critical that we allow ourselves to point our intentions in the now. It's critical. You will travel to the Himalayas, go to the Patagonia, and then come back to the US, and you'll discover the little secret that life satisfaction, it's in the now. Right here, right now. Good morning, everybody. Mark, what time is it?
Let me look at my watch, Gio. It's now.
Exactly right. Andrea, where are you?
Gio, I am where I am supposed to be. Right here, right now with you guys.
That is awesome. Kimberly, what day is today? We couldn't hear you, Kimberly. Kimberly, we can't hear you, but she's saying today is today. And Jacqueline, how are you?
I am how I say I am, and I am fantabulous.
That's phenomenal. There are a lot of powerful people in this room, Sorrel. I get to introduce every morning someone I'm very fond of and someone who's been a big difference in my life and the lives of many. America's executive coach. Thank you for joining us every morning, Sorrel. Good morning, Sorrel. How are you?
Good morning, Giovanni. I have the pleasure every morning and for a good portion of my life now to be in the company and in partnership with the #1 transformational leadership coach, and that is Giovanni Gonzalez. I was remarking to a friend yesterday that when I'm committed to something and I'm standing for that thing, sometimes it gets really lonely. You know, that time when you're standing and you go, oh my God, do I still need to stand? And I'm fortunate to have people in my life like Giovanni. I'm fortunate to have people in my life like the Daily Huddle family, where when I look at your faces and I look at your smiles and I listen to the sound of your voice, I'm profoundly reminded why I exist. I exist to transform what it is to be a human being on the face of the planet. And I'm so happy to be doing that and standing for that in partnership with you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Sorrel.
Giovanni, would you introduce our guest?
Oh, I'll be delighted. It's quite an honor. I met Michelle because we have a lifetime commitment to businesses and to people. And we recently had an opportunity to meet, and it was just chemistry right from the beginning, kindred spirit. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Michelle, and then she's going to take us on in under this beautiful question. If you were happy to your core, how would you see your problems? What a great question. So let me tell you a little bit about Michelle Daneshrad. How do I pronounce your last name? And forgive me for mispronouncing it, Michelle.
No problem. It's perfect. It's Daneshrad.
Daneshrad. Michelle Daneshrad. So after spending over $500,000 and 5 years on her own divorce, Michelle went to law school to gain control and finish it. She had to deal with the impact of divorce on her children, and she took on her mission to provide the legal and emotional and financial guidance families need to have a healthy time and cost-efficient divorce. Aside from her legal training, Michelle went through over 13 years of growth and development training with focus on communication and relationships. She got her certification in family law, but then gave it up to reduce her costs so she can make her services more affordable. She uses her legal knowledge and coaching skills to guide people to focus on what really matters to them and their future goals. She works with her clients to plan a divorce process that best services their goals and values. Michelle, thank you for creating your life the way that it is now. And Michelle is going to take us on under the context of this question. If you were happy to your core, how would you see your problems? Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. What a way to start your morning. Oh my God, what a great idea with this beautiful, smiling, great souls every morning. I love that. Thanks for having me here. Okay, so I'm going to keep asking questions because I think questions make a difference, okay? So when you're happy, what are you more of? Can people participate a little?
Yes, absolutely. When
Sure. What are you
we're
more of?
happy, what are we more of? Excited?
Present.
Great. Maybe more patient, maybe more loving.
Yeah.
Awesome. What if you decided that it was your job to be happy? What are the things you would do to be happy?
Smile even more, love even more, love even deeper.
Great. Wonderful. That makes you happier, doesn't it? So wonderful. Wonderful. And so now try on if you do things that a happy person does, like to me, I found that is the quickest way to make me feel happy. Like if when I'm happy, like I could dance, I could sing, I could, I would want to go and make someone happy. I want to do something that makes a difference for someone. I just want to love on someone, right? So now perhaps when you're happy, you then stop relying on your circumstances to make you happy. Maybe as you get better and better at being happy, you stop relying on what your spouse or your child needs to do to make you feel better, or not do something to make you feel better. How would you respond to something that normally offends you and makes you angry when you're happy on purpose? Would you respond differently when you're happy than when you're not? You just let yourself be how you are, right? I mean, normally, I don't know about you, but I don't wake up happy. I don't necessarily am happy on purpose. A lot of times I just, it's like influences from the outside that make me happy or unhappy, or my own thoughts. If I don't take charge of my thoughts, if I don't take charge of myself, I'm like a boat in the ocean, wherever the wave goes, takes me with it. And I'm not in charge of myself. I'm not in charge of my life. And I don't think then I am owning my life, right? So it's like, oh my goodness, okay, if I'm in charge of my life, I want to own my life, I want to own myself, then I am responsible to be happy. What if when I'm not happy, I'm not really living, I'm just floating, right? And so, but then I'm not influenced, I'm being the influence. And no, I'm no longer impacted. I'm like, oh, okay. So if I'm upset, that means I just lost control of myself. I lost being an influence, and I'm being influenced by whatever happens around me. So now, what then? So what if being happy is to be responsible? If you're independently happy, there's a sense of self-reliance, there's a sense of self-confidence, isn't there? And if you're self-reliant and self-confident, then maybe when you make a mistake, you're less hard on yourself and you chuckle and say, oh, I learned something. Wouldn't that be great? Maybe if someone does something or doesn't do something that normally upsets you, or actually something that you feel hurts your feelings, maybe your reaction then from a state of being happy would be, oh, this person hasn't learned to be happy. And I hope they would. Now, you think if you tell them, look, you're not being happy and that's why you're acting this way, do you think that helps? No. It's actually probably annoying to them. And so if you tell them something, even though with the best of intentions, it's like noise in their world. So don't give an answer unless unless they ask you, and then you can give in a form of suggestion. I think that's the best way of influencing. Now, so what I'm trying to say is people's happiness is their business. Now, I'm not saying don't do good things for people, not at all. In fact, when you're happy, you want to do good things for people. But if you feel good and then you do good because you feel good, then that's probably good. But if you do things out of guilt or fear to please, that's probably not going to turn out so good. So that's why if you make sure you're happy, you're probably going to do the right thing from that state. Now, so how's that related to what I do? Well, what I do is I guide families to avoid harm of litigation by providing healthy divorce options without resentment or regret. So, because, then if my work involves guiding people in their most difficult time of transition to be cause in the matter rather than being influenced from the outside, they will make the right decisions for themselves. So I don't know, how many of you know about collaborative process? Yeah, okay, great. All right, great. Let me just, and Andrea, yeah. And so collaborative, we normally know lawyers. Lawyers are trained to be adversarial, compete. It's a battle. But there is a process called collaborative, and you actually have to get training for it. And it is when lawyers work together as a team without the competition. So imagine if you have lawyers who, instead of pointing the fingers, blaming and making evidence and threatening, instead of that, you had your spouse's counsel lean and say, what matters to you? Because it's our goal that you both are taken care of. And we're going to find out what both of your interests are, because this is a new partnership for divorce. And we're going to find, our job is to come up with solutions that you both are okay with. So that's how the collaborative attorneys in a collaborative process work. They actually sign an agreement called a stipulation that they will not go to court. And so they're 100% committed to helping families come up with options that work for both of them. So in a collaborative process, it's hard to kind of even realize whose attorneys is who sometimes. because everybody's so respectful and attentive and problem solving as a team. Now, imagine premarital agreements. Now, you're going to let me know when I'm out of time, right? Giovanni? Okay,
You'll
great.
hear a little bell.
Say that again.
You'll hear a little bell.
Okay, fabulous.
It
So
sounds like it.
prenups.
Like that.
Okay, good. So prenups, my gosh, are my favorite. People want to get married, they want to form a union, and then they're advised to get a prenup. And guess what happens? They go to a lawyer, and what happens usually when lawyers get involved? Competition. Here's a booklet for you to give to your fiance to review and sign and go over. You consult his or her attorney and have it reviewed, and then they review it, and oh my God, is that a marriage you want to be in? Are you serious? Is this what it's going to be about? So what happens, it starts with a competition, and it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth, and they start the marriage with resentment. I got people coming to me for divorce that they said, it started with a prenup. So it's nonsensical, people, to do it the traditional way. So how do we do it? It actually is, so collaborative prenup, I call it, actually is an opportunity for couples to even get more closer, because it's their marriage contract partnership. They work together. They learn from each other what's important to them, problem solve in a compassionate way, and they learn more about each other as they reaching the collaborative, because it's not in a competition way. The lawyers help their clients communicate and problem solve and have the difficult conversation they should have before the marriage. Like, how about our finances? How many people get married talk about, okay, what's your relationship with money? How do you deal with money? A lot of issues with families are finances and how they lived in different ways about money. And it can drive each other crazy. But what if they really understood that and were aligned about who's going to manage the finances, how it's going to be managed, right? And what if about children? How many children do you want? How many people get married? They haven't even had that discussion, right? And yes, as part of the marital agreement, what if, in the spirit of supporting one another, sometimes supporting one another means divorce. And if we have to go through that route, then how are we going to deal with it so we're not fighting with one another? What's the best way? Working on the marriage contract together. That is the way I suggest. And it's not common, but it absolutely makes a huge difference. Yes.
I have a question, and also I like to open the opportunity for other people to either comment or or have a question for you. I have found in my experience of being with people that divorces are almost like a death for that person. Something dies, and it's real, right? One of the most difficult transitions in someone's life. Because there's so much being suppressed, right? How do you guide someone to get to, or what do you suggest, or how do you guide someone to come from a place of happiness?
Okay.
Like from the beginning of the conversation, like, yeah, you're getting divorced, and here's a place that you want to come from for the opportunity of this.
I got it. So we hold their hands step by step, and this is how we do it. And that's a great question, Giovanni. Okay. So happiness, really true happiness, comes from a vision you're committed to, right? So if you're going through a divorce, all you've got is your past, and it's normal to feel like, okay, I failed. But if you alter your perspective, what you make everything mean about what's going on, that we had a journey, and how was this journey a blessing for me? what do I want for myself and my life in the future? What do I want to create for myself? Start planning. Where do I want to live? What career do I want to have? A lot of times I have stay-at-home moms that are going through divorce and they're terrified. What about, I need the support, I need support. I said, okay, great. Now, I get that we're going to make sure you're okay, but I want you to consider how you lived your life was fine. But what would be amazing to you? What do you really want? And have them start thinking about, and it's, you know, when they start thinking about what kind of career maybe they want to have, maybe a new business, something they've never done before, they start thinking that way. And then we can have the divorce agreement in a way that supports them in their future goals. So having future goals makes a big difference. And then it's kind of like, yes, you look, it's a transition, right? And in the transition, there is something dying. And what's dying is you being your partnership that has been for sometimes your lifetime in a way, like 20, 30 years, you identified yourself as being married to this person, and all of a sudden that's no more. So there is a healing process, but also what helps heal is to look at, okay, what awaits you because of your creation. And it's a compassionate approach. You see, when we don't do it collaboratively and it's not done compassionate, you're not only going through that mourning process, but you're also getting attacked, accused, humiliated, and you're paying unpredictable amount of money for an unpredictable amount of time for an unpredictable outcome. Isn't that scariest thing? So that's why we want to make sure families understand their options and don't just fall into the old ways of traditional litigation divorce. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a difficult moment in someone's life, and what you're pointing to is the opportunity to allow myself or allow oneself to see a future I want. Therefore, I don't have to be driven by the pain. I don't have to be driven by the resentment. I don't have to be driven by the unfulfilled expectations. I can be driven by the future I now want to create. And for the most part, people want a collaborative future with their spouse. For the most part, people want a great future for their children, right? So Sorella, I'm wondering if you have something that you like to add, and anyone else, if you have a question or a comment.
Thank you, Michelle. I have a revelation to add. I'm discovering that this conversation, while it may be on the surface obvious that it's about divorce and marriages and relationships between men and women and partners, right? It's actually just about relationships. And the agreements you're speaking of, the collaborative approach you're speaking of, is equally applicable to a relationship I have with Giovanni as business partners, a relationship that I have with my employees, a relationship that you as business owners attending here and listening on Facebook have with every single person in your life. So what if, what if that kind of approach could be there? So I'm curious, Michelle, what are some of the, I'm going to call them terms and conditions, right? But really they're not. If you were to like explicitly say some of the agreements that come up and are explicit in the agreements that you create with your clients, what are they and how are they applicable to all of us here, whether we're married or not?
Okay, let me understand. You're saying agreements, you're talking about agreements between the couple?
Yeah, you said there, you know, couples that before they go into the marriage, they actually sit together.
Oh, okay, great. So now legally, you know, the agreements that are written are legal terms about traditionally it's all about, okay, when we get a divorce, what are we going to do about spousal support, if any? Are we going to change anything from what the law says? What are we doing? How are we going to divide property? What about the income during the marriage? Those are the legal aspects of the prenups that need to be there. But what I also like to do is like a marriage or marriage contract. It has nothing to do with the court or enforcing it in the court, but to just honor one another and kind of help you deal and support one another in case, like, for example, so there's separate agreements. One that's for the court system, but that's just one aspect. And then the other one is a marriage contract just for you. It's not to take it in the legal court to be enforced, but it's to guide you. Oh, okay, wait a minute. We talked about that. If when you get upset, how I can support you is this way. I'll remember now. So you kind of go to the book maybe and remember, okay, I need to actually not go away. You actually need me to keep coming and letting you know I care and I'm here. Honestly, I feel alone doing this because every other lawyer I talk to, they're like, wait a minute, no, this is, we've got to stick with the law. And I'm like, that's fine. But you've got to nurture the relationship and work on the relationship. And that's not like a legally enforceable one. We all make mistakes. It's a guidance. It's a support,
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kimberly has a question, and then we'll take one from Churl Girl. Oh, Kimberly, no sound coming from you.
Let my cat out while you're working on it.
That's it.
Okay. So thank you. Oh, is she away?
Did she leave us?
No, she went to let her cat out. She's back.
All right, thank you. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Michelle. I want to thank you for this topic. Is very profound and it's easy to not get. I was curious, as you take couples through the collaborative divorce process, do you find that some couples end up reconciling?
Do I find it what? I'm sorry.
Do you find that some couples end up reconciling as you take them through?
Oh, great question. Yes, I actually do. It's funny. I love it. I had some couples then actually hire me to have sessions with them to coach them in their relationship. But if they stop working on the relationship, it stops working. And sometimes when it's just not for them anymore, then divorce is an option. But yeah, once they have more hope, then they start trying to work it out. And some of them just did great, and some of them had to come back for the divorce.
Thank you, Kimberly. Churl Girl?
Good morning, everyone. Michelle, I'm really enjoying the conversation today. And the takeaway that I'm getting, and I want to see if I'm on the right track, is that before you go into a courtroom talking about a divorce or a prenup, it seems like the first contract is with yourself and with a decision to own your happiness. And then when you own the happiness, no matter what you have to deal with, whether it's in a courtroom or a business room, a business meeting, you made a decision about how you're going to react to it. And you know what's going to make you happy. And if you extend that love out to others, they'll feel it too. Am I on the right track?
Oh my God, you're far even ahead. That's great. Brilliant. Beautiful. And yes, absolutely. You brought it all home together. Now, I would say, yes, when you're happy, you start thinking about what's right for you and what's sensible, and you're calm. And you probably want to avoid going to court. You don't have to go to court. You don't. You can start thinking about, okay, as a business investment, if I'm going to spend X amount of money fighting in court without knowing, is that a good investment? Maybe I invest more in the settlement agreement to buy peace. But if you're not happy, you feel like you're being wronged. It's not fair to you. But if you look at the big picture and the long run and your purpose and your goals and look at what makes more sense, it's kind of like, okay, I invested in a bad stock and it's going down. Do I keep standing there and I'm like, wait, it's not fair. I'm just going to wait till it comes up? Or am I going to say, look, you know, probably not a good investment to do this. I'm just going to pay and buy peace. You'll be able to make the decision when you are happy. It's great, you said it beautifully. You purposely are happy, then you're not relying on how others behave. You actually influence them and you take charge and you own your case. And what a great way to deal with it. It's very powerful and not easy, but it's something you can practice. Every one of us can.
Thank you so much.
Oh, what a phenomenal ride that you took us. It's been beautiful, like a trip. I felt like it was a trip that you took us to, right? Like I started with the opportunity of being responsible for being happy. Like I'm responsible for it in different ways. And then let's take it in the world of relationships. And let's take it in the world of being, you know, having a relationship not work out. And then let's go into the businesses and see, you know, it's like a stock. If it's going down, what would you invest on having it go down even lower, right? I love it. And then it's just really great. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Cheryl Girl. Thank you for the interaction. I love today's conversation. And I do hope that if it lands to the ears of someone who's going through it, and I personally, I know how difficult it is, and I know that it's difficult for so many difficult transition. Michelle, thank you for what you do. Sorrel, you want to take us home?
Yes, absolutely. And there is no home without the people who come and visit the Daily Huddle for the first time, the second time, the 117th time. So I really want to express collectively our gratitude, not just for your presence, but the attention and the focus you bring to the environment and the love and the contribution that you are. Everyone in the room is that kind of contribution. You do not even have to say a word. All you have to do is be here. And your listening alone pulls everything that Michelle said this morning from her. So consider that Michelle's words are yours, and your listening is the only thing that gives us a presence and a space to be. So welcome to the Daily Huddle. Michelle, what are your last words?
I'm delighted to know you. Those are my last words. And thank you. Thank you for this.
And thank you for the contribution that you are. Giovanni, go ahead and close us out.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a phenomenal rest of the day. I love you. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m. with another great conversation. Michelle, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everybody.
Come back. Mark, thank you for inviting Desiree.
Oh, yeah.